So, you know that times change, things change, technology changes, right? So what we have to do is we have to adapt to those changes. And what we've done most recently is put together an update to our residential lease agreement, okay? So this was not a knee-jerk reaction. This was not a 2-week process. I believe the first draft started last March. Right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pieces that went into it. There's a lot of people that were involved in the changes to this lease, including Steve Williams, right? So we've had all of the approvals as we go through. And now I'm obviously not going to read through the whole new lease for you. We're not going to bore you, okay? But I do encourage you, when you get the lease, which is going to be starting to be uploaded on Monday, right? That's going to start on Monday. That you start looking, read through it. Take a look at the changes. We're just going to touch on those highlights right now, okay? So. I talk fast, so I slow this down, right? So why are we changing the lease? We're doing that to reduce liability, to have accountability for violations. And to simplify the notice terminology.
Yes, oh my gosh.
You're not gonna say, yeah, thank you for the happiness, right? Tosh, let's give out some tickets. Everybody's excited. You get a ticket, you get a ticket. All right. So occupants' names added to the lease. All right, so this is the bottom section of page 1. Up here, it normally says the residents' names, right? Underneath of that, we have now added in all of your occupants. This is going to be very important for school age children,
Yes, we have to register them. Yeah, that's been a nightmare.
all right?
Yeah.
So why I pulled this up here is to give you the example that right here, it actually says token needed for the unchecked leasee. So that box, when you get into the resident screens,
Yeah.
right? That's what that is for. We are creating an occupant standard operating procedure. Our SOP is coming on that. Oh, sorry, they're back and forth.
I think it's like occupant using a child.
Right.
Or something is able.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that.
That doesn't mean we ran the criminal background check. He didn't make it, so now he's an occupant only, right? That's not what we're doing. So that is coming, but we wanted to get this out. Okay, and then the other,
Yeah, all right, okay.
on what an actual occupant is, that's correct. Okay, awesome. The other thing in here is it is now changed to a maximum of 10 calendar days per year per guest. Now, why are we doing that?
Per calendar year.
People live there.
Say they don't.
Don't go.
We are tightening those restrictions, right? Because if we don't tell people in the lease and we don't say this is not permitted, they're gonna try to get away with it, right? So we're just tightening that. Does that mean on day 11, you're knocking on the door and kicking grandma out from visiting? No, no. But that's something to give you some tools in your belt, that if you need to, you've got it there, okay? Second part that was added that I was really super excited about was the construction and turnover delay provision. How many people right now, as soon as you get an approved application, send them the lease for signature? Okay, so not the whole room, but now you'll be able to. Okay, and here's why. Because if we fail, because if the dwelling is delayed because of construction or any other reason, we just have to notify them to change their unit. Okay,
Or the movie.
so why we're putting that in there? Previously, if we signed that lease, we had to give them that unit, right? We now have provisions. So it's, again, we're reducing our liability, we're putting that production place. Now, does that mean we're doing that across the board?
No, where do you put them at? Does it still cover us?
Yeah, you just cancel the lease.
Or could you just adjust them to?
You absolutely,
Flexibility to do that.
you absolutely could. And that's gonna be a great option. Like, unfortunately, the person has failed to move in. Just like in the provision in your lease, we're gonna have to push your move-in date back 2 weeks, right? And you're not gonna have to go get them a hotel room or anything along those, lines, right? That's why that's in there. Now, is it good practice to be signing leases all over the place and not giving people keys? No.
Right.
Right, but
But this is the protection. We also think about situations like Allison and Tosh are going through with certificates of occupancy with these new apartments, right? We've got an owner that wants us to do an entire lease up and we don't have the make ready day. But what does it look for PMI? If we're like, oh, well, we're waiting to lease those apartments, right? This way we can put people on the hook, get their reservation fee, get those leases signed. But if it fails because of a construction delay, we're protected. Okay, that's why this is going into play. It is also because of the age old, when do we send the lease for signature, right? So we can talk about those practices another time, but in the lease agreement, we made that update. Okay. All right. Rent payments. So this section was changed for a couple of things. All right. The normal rent is due on the first of the month. That has not changed. All right. What has changed is encouraging people first to pay on the portal. We want everyone paying online. I cannot tell you how many checks come through this office every single day and how hard that team has to scramble to get those checks in because they'll come in at the last minute, right?
Yeah.
When do late fees post?
And on the sixth.
Even on the sixth, right? But when is rent due by in this office?
I was on the fifth.
5 PM on the fifth, right? So we are stressing that point. We are saying that no cash will be accepted, mail money orders and cashier's checks to this office. We're not saying no more checks, but in the lease, we're putting mail money orders and cashier's checks here, right? It's not that we won't take checks, but again, we're encouraging that online payment, okay?
honestly, it's
Mhm.
a pain in the ass.
If someone's paying by the check, they can afford it.
Yeah.
No reason that they're not, it's because I don't want to go online.
I don't
Trust
trust it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so it's our job to encourage, people to get online to work through that. And how I think of that is that couple of minutes you spend teaching someone the portal is such time well spent. Go ahead, Lexi.
Sorry, just to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I actually just got one of the residents from Wilshire who will not go on the portal, and I just signed him up. It's really-
Love that for you. Love it.
That's amazing.
I didn't realize I had an answer sitting here. Maybe I should have looked at it.
Another thing too with Rent Cafe, for those that have residents who just don't want to do it, there are 19,000 banks in Finicity, which is what Rent Cafe uses for their rental payments. So it's a third-party secure platform. So when they're like, oh, I don't trust it, well, there's 19,000 banks that do trust it.
But you trust putting a money order in the
Yeah,
mail.
exactly.
Like, what does it make any sense?
That you never get there.
Yeah.
I never get there.
Right.
I just, yeah.
So again, we're not telling them they cannot mail us a check. We're just encouraging online first, sending checks or money order, or sending cashier checks and money orders here. And they're to mail it to this office. The other thing that we do is we increase the NSF fee to $100.
That's gonna get more people online.
Now, that does not start tomorrow.
Right.
There is a cycle that we have to go
Yes,
through
with the
before I can
website.
change everything in Yardi.
All right. So I have a question. How many NSFs do we allow?
Two.
And after how long do we allow them to go back to be able to making payments?
Never,
Well,
Never, never.
it's from her, it's after like a year.
No,
never.
it's never.
ever.
Unless Yardi has a glitch.
That's how the policy that we've had since like 2000, probably 4 or 7, states that we do not ever go back on that.
Okay.
I know that there was a difference of opinion and there were certain people who did change that just verbally, but our actual policy is that we do not ever go back on it. So after 2 NSFs, they are cut from. That includes even if they transfer. It follows them, so.
Absolutely. So again,
And once they're shut off, that means if they have roommates, the roommates can't. pay
Correct.
Either. It shuts the whole unit down completely.
The only thing they can pay with is a credit card.
Okay.
If they want to pay online and they have to pay the fee.
perfect, perfect. The other thing that was changed was the late fee is changed to the balance owed. Can anybody tell me why we did that?
people work the system, especially when they pay.
Yeah, they go and pay the current month and the last month, because they already got assessed. Oh, that's annoying. I just had someone do that.
Yeah. they work it out.
right? So they mess with the system. People figured out pretty quick, if I pay this month's rent, but leave last month half rent, they didn't get a late fee.
Yep.
Now they do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now our teams are trained that when they receive a payment, it goes to the oldest balance
Right.
first, right? But if they pay it online, they can mess with that.
They can choose what they want to apply for it.
So
Yeah.
will the 10% not be, on their entire balance? So it'll be
Yeah.
more than just 10% of the rent?
Correct. Now again,
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool.
as Jess pointed out,
They have rent carry.
no one signed this lease yet, right? Right. So, but as people sign the lease, it takes us a whole year to get through that cycle.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna flip the Yardy system tomorrow, okay? It's gonna take a little bit because we wanna make sure that most of the residents are on this new lease.
Yeah.
The other thing we gotta remember is if they got charged a late fee on last month's rent and they have paid it all, and then they owe money this month, they're gonna get charged a late fee on that late fee.
Yeah.
And why are we doing that?
More money in our pocket.
It's time important, so let's get work, but again, you're responsible for the revenue generation of your community.
Yep.
That's one of the things that we'll touch on really briefly in the next session is if that 11% growth wasn't just because
Short-term fees.
Yeah, yeah.
the affordable division, which is why I'm not down there, the affordable division doesn't have the luxuries that you guys have, so being able to charge the things that we can charge. And so if everybody else in the industry is charging it, we are, as co-owners, are failing ourselves by not charging it and collecting it on our fees.
Okay, we go on rent payments. The new notice period.
Here we go.
Okay, deep breath. Notice to vacate is now equal to 2 full calendar months.
Okay.
2 full calendar months. So what's today's date? 14. May 14th. If I give notice today, when is my financial responsibility end? If my lease is up?
July.
We
Not
said
on the current lease.
July. There you go.
On the current lease, it's still the 60 days on that one.
Yeah, we don't prorate anymore. It's gonna be 2 calendar months plus
Yes.
whatever.
We
So
still
it's not really fine, already.
this new lease.
Yeah.
So if they give notice on the first, goes through that month and the following. Anytime after that, they're giving you 2 full months plus the balance of that.
That's way easier.
Way easier.
Yes.
So we're good with that one.
What happens, ask your question that you asked the other day. So if they come in on the 2nd of the month, when does their notice? end? Well, it's the 2nd of any month.
Or when is it?
Second of the third month.
Wait, what?
No,
I think I just read the new SOP by accident, like, is it already uploaded this way?
no,
It said something like it can be accepted up until.
no, I don't even have a notice SOP even up and running anymore.
CMT.
There is a notice SOP for the old one, the company SOP. That's like an RGG version of it, and then we'll have that own residential version. But if they come in and they say that their lease is up July 31st, and they come in and they give you notice on June 2nd, when can they actually, when's their notice up?
8/31.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So they would be financially responsible through.
yeah, because it's required to be handed in by the first of the month.
I used to explain it like if they bring it in, because the old company that had our property, this is what they did, so like. Well, if you bring it on first, then yeah, it's gonna be 60 days after, but you bring it in on the second, we have to start at the first of the following month.
Yeah.
And it goes from there, and then when you explain it like that, it's easier, one, for your team to understand, and two, especially for the residents to understand, they will break it down.
Okay, so what's our notice to vacate equal to? Okay. Early termination fee is now,
2 full calendar months.
Yes, but there's a caveat.
Wait,
But there's a caveat on the current one too. They're the
Okay.
same thing.
Are they still responsible for the lease term until it's re-rented?
so if they give you notice today,
What is
and Well, it doesn't matter, whatever. They give you notice today and their lease is for another 7 months. And they pay you 2 months of rent
Okay.
as their early termination fee. The balance of lease is forgiven.
Okay.
But they have to pay it when they give the notice.
Oh, they give you the full 2
Today.
months. Oh,
Upfront.
gotcha.
Upfront.
But
Oh,
still,
That's still the current policy is written like
Say
that
that
too.
too.
I thought it
Early
was.
termination due when you get the notice.
It is, but it's not 2 full calendar months, so
So
like,
like pay in full, they wait.
Yeah,
the
this
rest of
is
the time.
not.
Yes.
They're supposed to pay when you give notice again.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be charged and paid. And this is a fee, it's not additional rent.
That's right. It's separate.
I was gonna ask, a lot of times, I'm not sure if we have the same policy in Parkview. They used to ask, can they use a security deposit?
no, absolutely not. Yes, but Allison.
So if they were to, you tell them, that, go over everything of the 2 full months up front, and they say they can't do it, and they just somehow skip out, we charge that at move out? If they didn't really provide notice, because they couldn't?
So,
Free to-
so in order to buy out the balance of their lease, they're gonna pay you 2 full calendar months and walk away,
Yeah.
okay? If they fail to pay this, they owe you balance of lease.
So it's an either or.
Mhm.
It's an either or.
It's an-
I was looking at one either or, they give you those 2, or like,
Early termination fee,
So even if they're paying balance, at least they're also paying the
2 full calendar months,
Okay, so it's.
if they fail to do it in advance.
Either.
Right. So, early term, notice of vacate, 2 full calendar months.
okay.
Here's the early termination fee must be paid at notice. Council, and again, when you get the lease, read it, okay?
That's gonna be very important that they understand that.
Absolutely. So we got move out 2 full calendar months, rent increase 2 full calendar months notice, right? For renewals. But we're actually gonna send those far more than 60 days in advance, early termination fee. All right. Accountability charges. This is my favorite. I love this. I love free money. Smoke detector tampering is now a $200 fee. How many times, how about it, Melissa? We just did the Allentown city inspection. We went through, checked all the smoke detectors, and we walk into the one unit and the dude looked fried. And the smoke detector was laying on the counter and I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to pay another $75 for them to come back out and inspect us, right? He was smoking in the apartment, disabled. It'll be a non-renewal, that's beside the point. But now I would have the ability.
I love that. Yeah, because you have, every time the maintenance guys go in, they come across these smoke detectors that are out or batteries that are out, they know that are operational.
Absolutely.
So,
I love
in this instance, I just want to be really clear on that, is if your maintenance guys are in there doing PMs,
Yeah.
if they're doing work orders, they're doing whatever, please empower them. Please empower them to take photographs, upload them into Yardi so that you have documented evidence of the tampering. What we're not gonna wanna get into is all of a sudden we start charging this and Just Bet gets 7,000 charge reversals because they're gonna fight us and get a lawyer and do all of that. So if your maintenance guys see it, take a photo,
Maintenance.
upload it into the RD system for that unit, and then we have proof.
Are we gonna talk about that with the maintenance team tomorrow?
Our community directors are responsible for relaying new changes.
Honestly, I don't think I've had any comments on anything like that. Yeah.
Well, then you have trained your residents well, Linda. You got it trained well.
All those years, I can't remember anyone's coming and saying, hey, Linda, they took down the smoke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Linda, you get a ticket for that. Good job. Good resident education. Good.
Are we able to charge them with the new lease, of course, once it takes effect? Will we be able to charge them at move out? Cause like we'll often come in and here's just a smoke detector sitting on the counter or what have you.
In the lease.
Why not?
Because they took it down.
It's in the lease. If it's not working, you think about the life safety, right? And that's what this is for.
Yeah.
To protect people from your stupidity, right? Yeah. It is a life safety issue. We're gonna keep going because we're gonna be tight on time. Unless y'all want to stay here all night. Unapproved pet fee, $500. How many people sneak a pet in and go, oh, I forgot to tell you, after maintenance was in there all, right? All the time. It'll magically be in a support animal at that point, obviously, but
Yeah.
unapproved pet fee.
And that's on top of like the actual pet fee when they do make it. Okay, just make it.
Miscellaneous income.
Get it? We can clean up on this over there because we catch it all the time.
Right? So if we're walking our units and we're doing inspections, right? We should be doing at least yearly, right? We're walking, how many are you gonna catch? Now, we've also added in a violation fee. I see it, Sandy, right now, she's gonna be handing out fees left and right. Escalating violation fee. So a lot of places in the lease, you're gonna notice, doing this, it's a violation, it's a violation, it's a violation, right? We use that standard language throughout, very plain lease language. So if there's issues where you've got someone who, and I'm not gonna use not picking up after a dog, that's a bad example, because a lot of those have poop prints. Way of poop prints, but if they have another issue,
Smoking in there.
give me something, smoking in their apartment, first one. There you go, $100. Strike two, $200. Strike three, kick them out, but $300. It's an escalating $100 and it keeps going and going and going and going. Now, why is this helpful?
It's non-renewed, so you can check it. Of their violation.
Right.
There's no, so it's an easy way to say you remained or not renewed, because we had to do it. So
Right. Right, and it's miscellaneous income, right?
I have a question about the smoke detector. If we do, suspect somebody's heavily smoking, we're getting reports from other residents. Can we use that to somehow go into the unit, spin it to check to see if they've removed the smoke detector? Because likely they've seen that.
So we still have it built into the lease that you can reach out and go, hey, we're gonna be in your apartment tomorrow. Or we have a work order, you know, the neighbor upstairs is complaining about something or downstairs complaining about his room. We have every right to inspect our expectations, as our lovely Tony would say all the time, right?
Yeah.
Inspect those expectations. So if you think something's not right, check it, communicate it, document it, check. So we have a special code that has been built for us. Now, why is that cool? It's not just damages. You can run a report for your charge codes and just look up all the violators. We're not gonna run a contest to see who can drag up the violators. But I'm saying we could.
Does it become part of our income?
It will be part of your.
It's gonna go into miscellaneous income.
All right.
All right. A couple of other things.
I got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She asked if there was a cap on the violation.
No, but I mean, at what point are we kicking them out?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's really, you know, I look at, we can do this East Park and I think it starts a conversation to let them know, I asked you the first time to stop. Now I'm gonna hit your pocketbook, right? And the second time, now I know they're mad because it's increasing. So it really is to open that door for that conversation. And if they refuse to stop, now you've got extra fees you can take them to court for, right?
And charge late fees on it.
Charge late fees on it. And not renew if you have to, right?
Yeah.
So it is just one more tool in your tool belt. That's what that's there for, right?
And it definitely, when you hit their pocketbook, it gets their attention.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're talking.
And some people don't care.
Yep, you're right.
They'd rather just pay the fine. Well, guess what? Your NOI is getting better by the day. All right. Lease additions. We added in renter's insurance that each resident must have a $100,000 minimum personal liability coverage. And it is to be sent electronically to the office's email, the property email, okay? Not to be mailed to PMI. Please don't. Please don't. Not to be mailed to PMI. And to be sent electronically to the property's email address. Okay, nice and easy. And they can find that on Red Cafe if they forget.
And each person has to have.
Yeah.
Right. That's what
I have a trivia question.
Oh, I love.
When is the renter's insurance supposed to be turned in?
Before the.
Before the-
Before moving, right?
Yeah. Or they're, with their utilities.
They don't have it.
And you can't have it.
Yeah.
Unless
Shouldn't
you have
be.
it, if they don't
Yeah, they don't
have
have
it.
it if they don't have it.
So
just so you know, we are
gonna be partnering with Yardi. on mandatory renters insurance. If they don't, Tosh and I worked together for a while in our previous life. We had a company that we worked with called Lease. Basically, if they move in and they don't have renters insurance, they are forced placed on a renters insurance that we actually make money on. If they do not have to move in with us, and they'll be a whole training.
Yep.
We're rolling out, but I'm just kind of giving you the heads up. You get in the habit of asking for it up front. That at least helps them outweigh the expectations that they have to have it. And if they move in, and it's just happened with my personal renter of the hair story, I really. She moved in, she bought her renters insurance policy, so she's lived there 2 months. I just got the cancellation from her renters insurance, they didn't cancel.
Violation.
So.
Yeah.
Violation. Business, I told you I was in the business.
Yeah.
I don't care.
We don't.
But so what will happen in that case as we move forward with this strategic partnership with Yardi is they will monitor that cancellation. If that cancellation pops on their radar that they have been canceled, they automatically get forced placed. There's an automatic $20 charge to the ledger. And we collect like $8 of it.
So for my managers, I know there's some of you who haven't been using the renters insurance portion in Yardi. We need to get them off in there.
Yeah.
They're not even. Cancellation notices, when the cancellation notice comes, you go in there and put in that cancellation date. And then when the reinstatement comes 2 weeks later, because every month they pay their bill late, which happens to a lot of us. You can go back in and type in that reinstatement status and it takes that cancellation date away.
So my brain is combining two things here, like, so that is a perfect example of people that are constantly violating the lease, but we don't really do much about it. Like, you get those, it's canceled, and right now what we do is we say, oh,
Violator.
right, exactly, and now we can start. And if I'm now getting hit with like $200 and $300 fees because my renters insurance is constantly, okay, that's cool. Like, what do you do? You just say, take care of this.
And then that's. Because I just figured out.
Now, are you gonna pay one thing? Probably not. Can you send the notice?
Yeah.
And they've got 10 days to comply, and if they don't, then with the violation fee, I love that.
But there are people that every month you get that notice.
You're gonna say something, I thought I saw your hand raised.
No, I was saying, I agree with her on that, like, and give them we all, life happens.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So like they may have just missed it, like, give them the opportunity, but set a deadline. So that they know,
Right.
hey, this is what comes if you do not.
Yep. Or if it's repeated, yeah.
And if you need a form letter, I'm sure our residential support can set us up with one.
Right on there.
That'd be great.
Because where do we pull our forms from?
Team.
Thank you.
Residential teams, not your team.
Smoking, we have changed from 25 feet away from the building. It actually then complies more with the state laws, right? All the federal buildings, so changed 25 feet away from the building. No smoking, but
Yeah, that'd be nice.
trash condition. This was my favorite. I love this. How many of you have overages every single month? Hey, we got a violator fee now, just so you know, right? Violator fees. This is actually, it's a huge condition. And it's like back in the back part of the lease now, but. And actually, mine actually goes over like 2 different pages, but basically it talks about the limits to the size, the weight, what they can put in. So I want to say it's like 4 feet or 5 feet and then 50 pounds limits. And then it also talks about the electronic responsibility, electronic disposals, and all of that. So again, really putting that setup in place that people understand what they can do.
And I have a question, does this tie in with, say, for instance, you are walking your community and you see that there's trash on their balconies?
That, it doesn't in that, because our balcony, we already have a line in our lease that says that only flowers and patio furniture can be on balconies. So trash is already not permitted, so that's a great use for a violator fee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have so much fun with that.
You are.
There's so much fun with that. No, the trash is more about, don't put paint, combustibles, electronics, because that's where we're getting fines from our trash haulers. right? That's where the issue is. Now, if the residents pay their own trash, like Rockledge, for instance, I don't care. They're paying that fine, but this is more for community dumpsters, which most of us.
You want to make sure your maintenance team is aware of what they can and cannot.
More additions. We had fun with this, Tony, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Grills. Don't shoot the messenger.
No more.
No more.
I've been telling people, I'm not sure, because they're like, oh, I wanna go buy a grill. I'm like, I heard there's changes, the lease coming. I'm not gonna promise you, keep it, so wait until I know for sure.
So you can have infrared and electric grills only.
Okay, so you can have.
Infrared and electric.
Is this first one house and then apartment?
This is across the board.
Okay,
Conventional.
that's what I was just gonna say, first floor apartments, townhomes.
Because we are gonna be, what this year?
Limited to what they can and cannot do.
It's
So
all
if they
about-
want to grill or do basketball hoops, sounds like they need to go buy a home.
Yeah.
And check with your township too,
Yeah.
just to make sure the electric grills are allowed.
Or even permittable, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that excludes my.
Well, my question is, being that this is a new lease agreement,
Mhm.
and there are people that are already on pre-existing lease agreements that have not yet expired,
Right.
will this apply to them as well?
It will once they sign. Once they sign. So a lot of what we're going to do, and that is a great question, so I'm gonna segue out. Jess and I actually created a notice that is going to go out to every property going, hey, this is what's being changed.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get notified and it's for their next lease renewal.
Yeah.
So we're required to give a 60-day notice of terms, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna load this lease in the hopes that everyone can use this lease for their August 1 renewals. Okay, so that way everyone knows that everyone that moved in prior to that time or signed, someone renewing resident prior to that, that they're on the old lease, now will be on the new. Okay, so that August 1 is our goal, and that's why we're mid-May doing this.
Yeah.
60-day notice for the change of terms, August 1 renewals and forward. Okay?
Yeah.
Question. Would that letter be generated with the renewal or are we responsible?
No, the letter's going out electronically to Red Cafe to, it's last.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there, because we can change our handbooks and we currently have handbooks,
Who has handbooks?
Are we still doing
everybody still has handbooks.
A lot of them. is-
Which,
Why?
When you.
Well, we don't need handbooks anymore because we're gonna have the same lease.
But yeah,
Are we talking?
what's the handbook for? Like, what's different about your community that you need a full 20-page handbook?
Oh.
We were working, on it. Nobody reads them anyhow.
Yeah.
No, really.
Mine do.
Actually.
Mine do.
You're the.
why one person?
Well, they're.
You're doing great job.
Do you think it would be reasonable to come up with one page of what's different in your community?
Like a fact sheet,
So different.
not like a book, A to Z, make all the things.
Differences, like who your trash hauler is or what they
Yeah,
make up.
absolutely.
Or, how your water is, if it's sub-metered, right?
That's
Like-
your lease.
Yeah.
But
No, not the sub-metering's not. It's not in your lease.
There's no deadline.
So the lease, I like it just.
Still wouldn't, that's not the same thing.
Or saying things that are just site specific that are not already mentioned in the lease.
Right.
A lockout, like they're.
Yeah, so some communities don't do lockouts, some do, some only charge 50, some charge 100.
Right,
So that's something maybe you want to put on a fact sheet.
Right.
What makes your property unique in addition to that lease that's already sitting in? I think that's the kind of things, like if you guys can start thinking about that and bullet pointing them, I know we started that, me and Jess and you. We sat in a room and we talked about that. If we could just come up with a fact sheet, send it to us. We want to condense it, minimize it, just keep it simple, like it.
1 page.
Yeah.
It really could be 1 page.
That's
Right.
all, I think it should be no more than 1 page.
Because what we can't have is handbooks where it's explaining things, like, it's explained in their lease.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're adults. And what if we explain it wrong? Or what if there's something that's like,
Well, handbook for
Yeah.
interpretation.
Yeah.
right, and it shouldn't be. Let them
Interpret it.
let them, yeah.
so we basically shouldn't be sending it, though.
Correct.
Okay.
And we shouldn't be sending it anyway. If we had a handbook, it should have been uploaded to Red Cafe. That should be sent out.
There is one, the one that is one is on Red Cafe, just so you know, so.
Yeah.
You don't get it out.
So that's a great spring cleanup thing to do.
And then-
I don't really have time to that detached, that'll
Good, good, Jessica.
question.
Jack, back. Residential support tickets just went through the roof. So a 10-gallon limit on water. 10-gallon limit So on water, on furniture that holds water. So whether that's a fish tank, a palindrome, is that what they call it? What is that?
It's also like a terrarium.
Terrarium?
Like turtle.
But it's got a special word. A water bed.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah, we
I don't know, I'm
need to
spending a lot of time on Google figuring it out.
They do.
People do.
There was a lot of Googling.
Because you know how much damage water does, right? Tons.
Yeah.
10-gallon limit. So if you walk in and someone has 3 huge aquariums in their apartment, you know how much moisture that throws into your walls?
Yeah.
I've seen so much damage, like mushrooms growing behind walls before, because most of the larger aquariums are open, right? And all that water's just constantly seeping into that dryer. So 10-gallon water, yes, sure.
So what if they have aquariums and then they say that's my emotional support animal?
Hold on. That's a fair question. Go ahead, Jess, if you want to answer it.
I said, that's a Kristen Mansberger problem.
What did she actually say?
Huh?
What did she say?
I said, that's a Kristen Mansberger problem.
I'm
Watching.
sorry, I'm being like bad guys.
Stress and anxiety, that's what the doctor will say, and like the kitten purring is, helps.
Then
We
we'll
can't
deny
deny
combination and we go from there. We don't pre-qualify.
I mean, with the caveat for that,
Yep, if they sign off on it, we gotta.
All right, hold on. There's some great conversation. I want everybody to hear it. What's up?
but the caveat to that, if they do have a doctor's note, it still should be explained that, hey, you're still responsible for any water damage.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of the goldfish. Right? It's just the principle behind all the water that comes with
Yes,
it.
they dogs, you're still responsible if they get fed or.
Life insurance covers water damage too, because some of the renter's insurance policies.
It does
don't
not.
cover that. Yeah, it does that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've seen that on some of the policies, yeah.
Fire.
I think until it happens, we just pretend it, we
Yeah.
hope it never happens, like I think that's kind of where that goes.
Death of a resident, that language has actually been added into our lease, right? In regards to our current SOP. Right, so it explains it. And it's, again, it's an information piece. We know what Pennsylvania law is, but that has been added in.
The resource that happens, you know, for.
Yeah. Look at that. I didn't know it was gonna be that, because I'm not in presenter mode, so I can't see. All right, so start date will be no later than June 1st. Like I said, Suzanne's gonna start uploading properties as of Monday
She's
morning.
doing it 7:30 Monday morning, it's just one click of a button and it'll be done. So anything that
Okay,
you
so-
load on Monday, it will be active and ready to go. So anybody that's signing a renewal on Monday, and if you've already sent renewals and they haven't signed them, go in and regenerate it and get the new lease.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like, grab them, get them on the new lease as quick as you can.
That's a good point.
Absolutely.
Now, is there, I know you said you were gonna be sending out like a mass email to Red Cafe. I have like residents that have been there for 20 years and they just, they don't read anything. I mean, I'm.
Take copies of the course. Yeah, just, look, you might have to, I mean, it's a big change. And if you have people who are online, you still wanna notify someone because they're changing Florida. I didn't put it on.
Right, so
It's not like your property, 600 units.
So Jess, you could actually send out to the managers, we actually send out what the email says.
Okay.
So that way they could print it and have it in their office, right? I know we don't like to waste paper ever, but that could be something in your situation, so you have it at your fingertips.
No, he doesn't use right now.
Right.
But don't do it.
Right, right.
When are you sending it out? When are you sending it out?
The lease will be uploaded on Monday,
No, the email letting them know.
Friday.
Friday.
Okay, or Monday.
Maybe today, tomorrow. It'll be out.
This week.
I was waiting for approval on it, so.
We'll
once
get
I
a
an
copy
email
on
back-
it, so we'll know when it comes.
I've been on visit.
I just want to add grills to it. Once we add grills to it, it'll be
So
ready
all
to
my
go.
new lease preparations for Alistair will.
Oh, you're new.
Regenerate them.
Yep.
So it'll be uploaded when?
Monday.
Monday.
Suzanne's
7:30
gonna-
a.m. Clicking that button.
Oh, did I use grills?
Sorry.
It's okay. Well, I was trying to duplicate something anyway.
I know.
We're both- yeah.
We were doing way too many things this week.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing is, who is still signing paper leases? No.
She couldn't help it.
I can't help it, but I'm not-
We have, because we do have some older residents as well who refuse to go online, but but with Robin's help, we have pushed really hard with that and we don't have any right now.
I don't think.
Which is great. That's great. Great. Go ahead, Amanda.
I have some really older residents who, even with offering assistance, they just flat out refuse. I'm like, I will literally sign you up for a Gmail. We can literally sit here, I will walk you through step by step, and they're just no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. So how do we, I know, of course, what our expectations are, but how do we kind of hold them accountable in that regard if they're just refusing?
Violator fee. I'm sorry.
Maybe we're not the community for you.
Yeah, no. And I understand that because I think one of the biggest things that Angela and Tony and myself are trying to really push is raising our customer service, right? Really pushing those expectations on how we take care of our customers every single day. And really by moving some of the stuff into the home office with the checks and the transactional team and all those move out reports and, and that really takes the stress and burden of that administrative off of the teams on site. So you are more available for that customer service. And that's the ultimate goal, right? To give the best customer service. So I love the fact that you're sitting down, you're trying to do everything you can to get someone to sign. It's kind of one of those where I normally sidestep when they say that. Oh, I don't do online. That's fine. I'll gladly help you. I have an office with a computer. I'll make an appointment. I'll sit down with you. We'll do this together. And most of the time that does work, then I'm not giving them the option to say no. I'm not immediately going to, oh, okay, I'll print your lease for you. I'm not giving that as an option and that kind of stops that. And I love how much of a line do you want us to take?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if they don't wanna have an email because they've been hacked and had fraud identity, if we sign them up for an email or let them get it created and it happens again, are we liable? No.
No, we don't have the passwords for their email. We don't write passwords for any of that, so we should not have to do, Joe.
I do, they.
But I think with the opportunity.
You can.
Sorry. Okay. So I think that, the goal is probably within the next few months. I was trying to have them for this meeting, but Mike Campbell is one person. So the goal is everybody should be getting a tablet, one tablet per community that you can use to sign people up, to get them on Red Cafe and to get the stuff done that they need to do. We can't force them, right? We can highly encourage, we do have to tread very lightly on some EDA stuff as it pertains to making sure that we're not, forcing someone to do something that they can't do, maybe they are literacy, challenged, maybe if they have all of that stuff that, we need to be mindful of. So the hard line is, let's get to 99%. Right? Let's get to 99%. As we transition into this new lease, being cognizant of the goal is everything should be signed online, uploaded in DRD. And even if you have those one-offs at your community, communicate with your regional or your upper leadership, and work out a way to at least get it in the system.
Can I just piggyback off that for 1 second? For those of you that still have those occasional paper leases, if you email them to residential support, I will get them signed for you and then email back or hold it in for you. Because we need to have Eric's signature on them. So they can't set your properties with their signatures. You guys can't be signing them. So if you get them, email them over. I'll make sure that it gets the signature it needs.
So email them to me.
Or whoever, yeah, it was just so affordable. They send them all over to Kristen. So I was trying to, yeah. So if you guys come across it.
So one thing that was kind of useful when I was trying to convince people is explaining to them that like in the past, we countersigned leases, that's not the case anymore. And the flow of paperwork to the home office to get leases signed just really isn't realistic. And give them a logical reason why this is just not a realistic option anymore. It helps back them down a little bit.
Sure try, girl. I have people in my office all the time. I'm like, listen, I got you. Bring your phone. If you don't have, I don't care. You don't have a smartphone. I turn my computer around. We put our little keyboard around. Like, I trust and believe. If there was the ability for help, but it's not a lack of ability. They are just strictly unwilling. They just want no parts of it. They're like, I don't care, I'm not doing
So
it.
these are the people then that, when we have these people and we're sending out these e-blasts,
Right?
They're not getting.
they're missing.
Right.
So is that something that we have to be making accommodations for?
They'll have to hand deliver it. I always kept a sticky note
Yeah,
on the
you have,
computer.
I still have it.
The units that don't have
Yeah,
email,
yeah.
you know, that I helped them set up a Gmail account so that they could sign your lease on your
Yeah.
whatever, but they don't ever check that.
I have some that are just like, I don't need, I'm like, literally, you can just have this just for your rent cafe, whatever, like, I don't care, I'm not doing it. So I just don't know, like, how do we address that? Is that appropriate to be like, well, if you're not signing your lease, then, you know, you're gonna be put to like month to month or whatever, like you're opting, and I tell them, if you're choosing not to participate in Rent Cafe, you are not gonna be aware of what's happening on this property. You are not gonna be getting notifications about things, and they just don't care.
I think that's always been one of our biggest concerns is that we didn't want to exclude anyone from living in our communities. But again, it's that pushing for that 99%. It's that if you've got that one or two that you just can't get online. The one thing that I will caution you on as well, anyone who's helped people set up Gmail accounts, but you know they don't know how to work their smartphone. My father-in-law, I love him to death. He can get on eBay and buy farm equipment. Right? He can't open a text message. Okay, I don't know why. So if I would send him email blasts about emergencies, water shutoffs, he's not getting those messages. It's not happening, right? So just be mindful of that too, of those that we're pushing and or encouraging to sign up for Rent Cafe that don't have the technology, or they don't have access to that email on a daily basis. They're not getting all of our notifications, and that's our main form of communication, right? When you think about it. So that's really the conversation we want to have is we want to be able to get information to you quickly. You can also sign up for the text alerts if that's easier than actually opening the email, that's fine. But we want to be able to let you know what's going on in the community, good things, fun events, any emergencies, so that way you're in the know.
I think that's really good. It's describing to them the benefits of doing it, as opposed to why they're saying they can't do it. So let's say, I hear what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, and I kind of relate to what you're saying. If I could just, express to you the benefits of the overall communication that we want to have with all the residents, as paper gets lost, it gets blown away, it gets mishandled, and we want to just get this out to you quicker, faster, easier. And let them do some kind of work order, we can do emergency, like snow, mission possible things out to you, just letting the whole community know. So instead of saying, we don't want to threaten them, like we said, like, we're gonna make this, I was joking when I said that was the unrealistic answer, but. Have a conversation, positive way about the benefits that they can present on break, they just.
You're going to send your break back at 2:30.
Take your help.
Back
What
in
do
here.
we do for those, like, there's like one person in my head. Refuses to have an email, doesn't have a cell phone. So at 3:00 in the morning, if there's an emergency, am I supposed to personally make a phone call? And if they were.
You can't
out
use
of
the Rent Cafe voice.
No, they have home phone. Landline. Landline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as there is a phone number under home, it will send it out. It has to be home.
And just so you guys all know, on the voicemail system that we use, on one page, you can go on there and put in a temporary message. So if your water in building 12 is shut down or you have no hot water, I've had that situation when I was on site where I would go in, I did it from home. It happened that I was at home, so I went in and put the notice that says, please note, building 12 is currently without hot water. We are aware of the situation. We are working on getting it taken care of. And you can put an end date for when you want it to shut off and it'll go off. You can use that for when your office is closed. You can use it for, you're having a pool party or you're having an event for your residents. You can put that on there and it stays on there for as long as you want it on and it'll shut off.
That's so good.
I have not through rec, no, through road. I'll show you.
Someone's number, that's what.
Yeah, not just that, they can hear that. and
But
then
most properties do.
Yeah.
Most of them. So just a couple of quick notes, because I want to get everybody out so we stay back on cycle. This is going to take a full year cycle for completion, right? So keep in mind when your late fees or anything's being assessed for the next couple of months, it's not going to be the 10%. On every balance, right? But it is super important that everyone signs a new lease. You cannot just do month-to-month notices, like they've got to sign a 60-day lease. And we need to do a training class on how to do that, detach it, reattach the new one, send it out for submission, and follow up. Let us know. We can gladly do that. Any exceptions? It needs Angela's approval, right? So we can't have one-offs from the lease because we're gonna be what?
Not the Wild Wild West anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one quick add-on to this is, if you have a smaller community and word gets out about, oh, I love this new lease, and you have people that want to sign their lease early, as long as they're going the full market rate, they can sign their lease. Well, there's no negative or bad thing that can happen from you allowing a resident to sign a new lease before the end of their lease term, as long as they are going to full market rent. So if you have a small, especially on the smaller communities where you're like, hey, it's only, X amount of units, or it's, this whole new area is getting a big renovation, let's do all the townhouses at once. Whatever that looks like, I'm okay with that. But just be mindful that, and don't do one-offs. There's nothing bad that can come of it.
We're not allowed to say 60 days notice.
That's okay.
So then we should not do them for the first leases because it's not 60 days notice?
Any move in for future. So let's say you have something in pipeline,
But renewal won't be fully correct.
Okay.
Well, they can't change the
No,
house.
renewals will still get it.
Everything
It's
will
only
still
one
get
lease in the system. So anybody who's in there, you can generate a new one because they're signing a new lease and we're doing an email blast. I mean, it's not. There's no way to stop that cycle
Right.
because we can't do two leases.
So the renewals will immediately start seeing it as soon as.
Well, technically, if they're signing a new lease, you don't have to give them 60 day notice.
It's not changed to the
It's
current.
their responsibility to read their lease.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can start, now the ones that are already in there, if you don't want to regenerate them and you want to do another cycle on the old ones, it doesn't matter, but just make sure that when that email blast goes out, that, when people are signing them, you're really on top of like educating the residents of the changes and they help them understand it.
Okay.
That's the big thing, it's just communicating.
Awesome. We good?
Yeah.
Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
If you had any idea how heavy a lift that is. I think I have 6 different versions of that lease, so awesome.